you see a defendant in court whose first language is not English, how do you determine that if they are able to understand every step of the process?
Having a full-time on-staff interpreter available. So we didn't have to have one scheduled for certain people or certain cases. We always have one in the building, accessible, certified, and ready to go. Also, I took 4 years of Spanish in college, but it did not retain with me as well as it should have. But I have a sheet. I have a sheet of questions that, tú necesito un intérprete.
So there already is a Spanish-speaking interpreter always on standby right there. When a case gets filed in Kenosha County, if an interpreter is needed, it's assigned at the beginning. So they don't come to court to then find out we need an interpreter. We know up front, and we already have one ready. The wonderful feature about doing things on Zoom is we have an interpreter function. If you set up your Zoom meeting and you select your interpreter, every kind of interpreter you want. You want somebody who speaks Croatian? No problem. We set it up.
The nuanced part is when you have someone who knows enough English to make it seem like they understand what's going on, but they really do not understand what's going on. And I've represented clients who understood enough English to kind of have the appearance that they understand what's going on. Sometimes I think that becomes a coping mechanism when you're in situations where people who are speaking around you are speaking English and that's not your dominant language. And the key is to ask questions that are not yes and no questions.
There are different dialects, that there are nuances, that someone who speaks Spanish speaks it differently if they're from Puerto Rico than if they're from Mexico. And so I think as judge, we have to be really cognizant of that difference, so that a word that might mean something in Puerto Rico means something different in Mexico. And there you do, as judge, have to ask a lot of questions to make sure that the person is understanding even what the interpreter is telling.